extract money away from me. Federal government says, why not? So because the Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable search and seizure, man. You're going into my bank account and taking money without my... They said, you know what, you're absolutely right. So they amended the Constitution. The 16th Amendment is the one that allows the federal government to make income tax. The 16th Amendment. The only amendment that will be in the whole econ unit. 16th. So, again, if your mom or dad's taxes go up, they're less likely to borrow money to buy a new car. And if your mom and or dad's taxes go down, they're more likely to borrow, to take out a loan and buy a new car. So again, put this into terms of actual things that actual people, it makes sense. If your taxes go up, we're not going to take out that loan and buy that car. We're going to drive the old beater for another year. See what happens next year. A year later, your taxes go down. Hey, taxes are down. Let's take out a loan, buy a new car. Questions on that? Okay. Anybody mind if I move on? Okay. Big pile of $100 bills. Big pile of Benjamin. Okay, who's got $1 on them right now? Anybody have $1 on them? Nobody in here has cash. Nobody works with cash. You all just use green light cards or whatnot. Okay. If you were to take out, say I'm a teacher, so I'm a public school teacher. I have nothing smaller than 50s normal, but I may have $1 bill today. Okay, $1 bill. Do you ever get bored and just actually read what's on a $1 bill? Have you ever done that? The very first words up at the top, front, and center, it says Federal Reserve Note. Anybody ever notice that? Federal Reserve Note? What's that? You know what Federal Reserve is? The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. It's the bank of the banks. All right? They are the ones that regulate all the banks. TD Bank and Wells Fargo and all the other commercial banks. Make sure that it's stable, make sure your money in the bank is safe, make sure inflation is nice and low. They manage the interest rates and the amount of money that's floating around out there to try to keep inflation low and stable. And they're the bank for the federal government. Think about it like this, here's a metaphor. The economy is a freight train, okay? And the fuel, what do you think the fuel is that economy, that freight train runs on? What flows in the economy? Money, thank you. Okay, so the economy is a freight train, and the fuel that goes into that is money. And the engineer that's up in the front cabin with his hand on the throttle, that's the Federal Reserve. And they say, okay, the train is really sluggish, it's going really slowly. What do you think we should do? Do more fuel or less fuel? More fuel. So put more money into the economy, more money out there. Here's more money in the banks. Here's the crazy thing. You remember that whole law of supply and demand? Who remembers supply and demand? Okay. What happens to something if there's a shortage of it, if there's not much of something? What happens to the price? Goes up. What happens if there's too much of something out there? Price goes down. Okay? This is mind-blowing if you think about it. Money itself follows the law of supply and demand. The cost of borrowing money follows the law of supply and demand. So imagine that I'm the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and I'm in that freight train. The train's going really slow. And I'm like, man, we got to speed this train up. Speed it up. So I'm going to put more, I'm going to throttle forward. I'm going to put more fuel into that engine. I'm going to put more money into the banks, more cash into circulation. If I put more cash into circulation, then the banks are going to say, we have lots of money. Anybody want to borrow money? We'll give you a really low interest rate. Low interest rate. It's on sale. And your parents are going to say, hey, interest rates are kind of low. Maybe it's a good time to turn in that old van and buy a new one. And then all of a sudden, the economy's rocking. It's going too fast. And the engineer said, whoa, too much, too fast. We gotta pull back, we gotta throttle back on that thing. We're gonna take some cash out of circulation. Take the cash out of the bank, out of circulation. Then the banks are gonna be like, we're gonna charge you a really high interest rate for this van. You sure you want it? We're gonna charge you like 11%. And then your parents are like, no thanks, man. That's okay, we'll just drive the old van for another year. And so literally, they're putting money into circulation and taking money out of circulation, just like putting fuel into an engine and taking fuel out of an engine. So they're sort of driving that train, keeping it nice and stable, and keeping the economy from getting too hot or from slowing down. Does that make sense? Yes?
My mom actually works for the Federal Reserve.
She works for the Federal Reserve? Cool. Tell her what I told you and see if I got it right. See what she thinks about that. It's made up of a board of governors and then 12 Federal Reserve banks in major cities. The closest one to us is in Richmond. Again, if you're a bill reader, if you take a look at a dollar bill, they each come from a different city. This one came from, man, my eyes are, my old guy eyes. San Francisco, California. So there's 12 Federal Reserve banks, and the chairman of the Federal Reserve is appointed by the President of the United States. Okay, questions on that? All right, we're gonna move on. Everybody okay if I move on? Okay. There's our football ref again. So, get back here. Basically, the whole point of government regulations is that they're there to protect us. They're there to keep the game safe and fair. That's all they care about. They're never gonna choose Nike over Adidas. They're never gonna choose Coke over Pepsi, even though Coke's better. They're never gonna choose, Apple over Android. They just want the game to be safe and fair. They want to protect us, they want to protect workers, they want to protect the environment, they want to make sure the competition is gonna be safe and fair. You got the right to own property. If somebody breaks a contract with you, the federal government's got your back. They will back you up. So that means contracts in this country mean something. There's a lot of other companies, there's a lot of other countries where a contract doesn't, it's barely worth the paper it's printed on, but not the US. But it's all about safe and fair. If your rights are violated, you can sue, and the government will be there to protect you. On the next slide, I got a whole bunch of government agencies that protect the rights of people. But I see a few of you writing here, so I'm going to give you a minute or two. Okay. I see a few tests coming in. That's nice to see. You get those numbers in, get the names off the board. Who needs me to wait for a minute? You guys okay if I move on? Any questions on this so far? Okay, if nobody minds, I'm gonna go ahead and move here. Let's see. Oh gosh, I hate to see that. I remember when I was young, I had an old beat up car. cars get smashed into walls. You just smash my old beat up car and give me that nice shiny new car. But they never took me up on it. So here's a bunch of things, a bunch of federal agencies that protect us. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, they are the ones who make sure that baby toys are not painted with lead paint that'll make kids sick. They're the ones that make sure that they ban those, what were those little chocolate Kinder eggs? Yeah. The CPSC is the ones who really fought those really hard. They're like, yay, let's have a chocolate egg and put a little piece of plastic that would choke kids right in the middle of it. What could go wrong? They're in two separate containers now, but they weren't before. They weren't before. It was a surprise inside the egg. It's a choking hazard. There was a, the CPSC are the ones that make things have to have a label that says choking hazard or caution, you know, the caution labels and stuff. There was a college basketball player years and years ago named Latrell Sprewell, and he flipped out and lost his you know what and like choked his coach. He put his hands on his coach's throat in the middle of the game, and he completely got like cut from the team for it. But what's funny is that there was a Latrell Sprewell action figure, and he had a little guy in a cardboard thing with a clear shell over it, and there's a little basketball action figure at the bottom that says caution choking hazard. And that kind of went viral. I thought that was really funny. Get it? The choking hazard?
Oh, yeah.
Never mind. Food and Drug Administration, they're the ones that put the labels on that make sure that the right accurate calorie count are on everything. They label this, they decide what stuff is safe for you and what's not. What drugs are okay to buy over the counter at 7-Eleven, what drugs you have to have a prescription for, and what drugs are so dangerous that nobody should have them ever. Yeah, sure, grab a lanyard and sign out. OSHA, people mistakenly call this OSHA, but it's OHSA, Occupational Health and Safety Administration. They're the ones that say that if you work 8 hours, you have to have a lunch break, you have to have access to the bathroom. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, they make sure people are not discriminated against for race or gender in job hiring. So these are all really important things. Environmental Protection Agency makes sure that, look, if you've got a factory, if you've got a industrial plant or something, the cheapest way in the world to get rid of waste is to just dump it into water or the air or the just litter. It's super cheap, but it's awful for the planet. And so they're like, no, you're going to do it the expensive way. You're going to do it the right way. You're going to dispose of it in a way that's environmentally safe. Costs more money, but it's the right thing to do. And in the absence of the EPA, these businesses would just do it the cheap way, and they really damage the planet. Yes, sir. When she gets back, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're closing in on the end of it. Money. Originally, back at the dawn of civilization, people would barter things. They would trade something for somebody else. I will hunt you a bear if you will build me a house. Okay? But what if I'm a really experienced, skilled bear hunter, but the person who I want to sell the bear to doesn't want they're not a house builder. I got to get somebody else. Well, here's a person who can help me grow some crops. Well, I don't want crops. So you end up in a 3-way transaction or 4 or 5-way. I say, wouldn't it be awesome if there was something that you could trade to anyone, anywhere, anytime, for anything? Something everybody would want. And they came up with little shiny rocks. And then over time that became, gold and silver. And we learned as a civilization how to forge gold and silver into little coins, little discs. And sometimes they were great big things, they were the size of a dinner plate, and then they said, we should make these things smaller. Here, small things. So that's sort of how currency came about. Then people said, well, if you're really rich and you've got, you're worth $50 million, that's a lot of these. What are you gonna do, drag them around with you? And so they came up with the idea of currency here. This is a piece of cotton fiber. That's all it is. It's not paper, by the way, it's cotton fiber. It doesn't do anything, you can't listen to it, you can't eat it, you can't find your way home with it, you can't text your friends on it. It's literally a piece of cotton fiber. But it represents wealth that's somewhere else. So that's what currency is. This is not wealth. This is a thing that represents wealth that's somewhere else in the bank. Who's on this? Who needs to use this slide? No? Okay. We're going to move on. So you can go up to Sunoco and you can slap down a couple of these pieces of cotton fiber and get a snack. And the guy at the Sunoco will accept, he'll let you walk out with a snack in exchange for a couple of these because they trust that the federal government actually has the wealth behind these things to back it up. So money is a medium of exchange. It makes trading easier. You don't have to say, well, I'll mow your lawn in exchange for this bag of Doritos and a Coke. No, you just say, here's a couple of these, here's some money in exchange for it, and you can use the money for other things. So it's a store of value, you can save it and invest it. It's a measure of value, just like a foot or an inch or a yard or a pound or a mile. It's a unit of measure. Okay, this projector is worth $300. The set of headphones is worth $10. It becomes a unit of measure for how much something is worth. By the way, has anybody ever wondered why we don't solve our debt problem by just printing more money? There's a really simple reason. Yeah, every dollar will be worth less. Look at this. If we just turn the printing presses on and print more money, all the money that's out there will become worth a smaller amount than what it's worth right now. This is why. That sounds good, but I can prove it. Imagine we have right here a pizza. How many slices we got? 6 slices, okay? So all of a sudden we're like, we need more pizza. We got some friends over. Oh, I got an idea. Now how many slices we got? 12. We got twice as much pizza. So, right? Twice as much pizza? Is 12 twice as much as 6? Isn't 12 twice as much as 6? Then we have twice as much pizza, don't we? Why not? It's not the same amount of pizza, it's 12 slices. We had 6 before, now we have 12. I'm totally gaslighting you. Yes, sir?
Isn't it like worth less because it's like less like rare kind of? Like let's say this is like the only water bottle in the world, it would be worth more because there's only one. If you keep on doubling, it's going to be more common, so people will pay less.
Well, you're sort of thinking along the lines of supply and demand, and I respect that, but that's not why. This is why. The pizza itself is the wealth that's in the country. These green pieces of cotton fiber that we've got in our wallets, these are not wealth. These represent wealth. And if you make more of these, you're just taking the existing wealth and you're cutting it into smaller pieces. You want to create wealth? Invest something. Start a business. Open a store. Start a new company. Build a factory or something. That creates wealth. And that's why the federal government wants us to do those kind of things. But just printing more money just takes the existing wealth out there and divides it up into smaller pieces. And there's some countries that don't get this. And they have just printed up more money. And it ends up where, like an Italian lira, it takes like 50,000 lira to buy a loaf of bread in Italy. 50,000 lira. So They've done this, they've just printed currency until their currency is almost worthless. Yeah. Yeah, happened in the French Revolution, it happened in Venezuela like a year or two ago. Some countries just don't get it. Everybody good with this slide? Okay. I think this is the last slide of the year. The last slide of the year, my friends. I'm sorry. I know, wipe that tear away. Everybody needs Kleenex. Last slide of the year. There's three types of money in the United States. There's coins, which are created by the United States Mint. I don't know why they call it a mint, but there you have it. Second definition for that word. The mint is part of the U.S. Treasury Department. You've got Federal Reserve notes, which are those green pieces of cotton fiber that you got in your pocket. They're created by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which is also part of the Treasury Department. And you've also got electronic funds that can be moved around by computer or with debit cards, or accessed by writing a check. People don't really write checks anymore. There you have it. You did it, guys. So, what's going to happen next? Monday, I'm going to be absent. My son's graduating from Marshall. Anybody have a sibling graduating? Woo! Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be at Marshall. I'll be at TAR, Constitution Hall, in DC, where the graduation is going to happen. And you'll have a sub. I'm going to give you a Google form to do. The Google form is basically just going to cover, I think it's going to cover all of economics. And then we're going to take a quiz on this we'll do a little bit of review and then we'll take a quiz on this on Wednesday. And then Friday we go to St. James. And please know that I'm really trying to get us out of this cumulative test on the following week. If it's up to me, we will not have that test. You guys have worked hard this year. I think you deserve to not take that test. But I have to put it on there just in case the front office is hard line and doesn't work with the NFL people. We have to do it. The person I need to ask is out of town until Monday, so I'm not going to be able to get an answer. So, question? Let me roll a CNN video. Does anybody still need this slide? No? Okay, well, you guys have worked really hard, and I appreciate it today. Let me go ahead and roll a CNN video for you here. Oh my gosh, of course, we gotta work on 12 Angry Men. What am I thinking?
Wait, so you can make money off that?
Yes.
Alright.
Well, Sam, I think was gonna go, is he gone already?
Yeah.
All right, well, when he gets back, you can go for 5 minutes. Yeah, stick for 5 minutes.
Chat. Yes, sir.
On video.
Child or boy looks guilty on the surface, but maybe we don't do it. Yeah. There's a question I would like to ask. Let us assume that the boy